But there's lots of things where everybody watching us has something like this going on. Parents ask me this all the time. So in religious communities, I talk to a lot of religious parents, and they'll say, okay, Mr. Behavioral Scientist, tell me what I can do to guarantee that my kids are going to grow up in the faith. And I'm like, I can't do that. That's the wrong thing for you to be worried about. Well, I care about my faith. Of course you do. Here's what you worry about: what they see you doing in your practice of the faith. Why? Because there's a lot of science behind this. It actually literally doesn't matter what you tell your kids on any subject for their behavior. Yes. All that matters is what they see.
Yeah.
So if you don't want your kid to, hurl curse words out of the car at somebody in traffic, never have them see you do that. If you don't want your kid to be a drunk, don't be a drunk, right? And the number one predictor of your kids growing up in the faith is seeing you on your knees. That's it. Bowing before the Lord if you happen to be a Christian or a Jew or a Muslim, right? Or any of the Abrahamic faiths. But you fill in the blanks for whatever your faith happens to be. Seeing you in a position of humility and practicing something, that's what really matters. And this isn't a broader case of this. I can't be laying awake nights about how my kids are ultimately going to turn out as adults. What I should be worrying about is my own behavior, the example I'm giving my kids. Am I loving them in the right way? Am I nurturing them in the right way? Am I being the person that I want them to become? That's a combination of intense action and total surrender. That's the magic brew. That's the magic brew of a life that basically says, I can't control this. I can control this. And that's what I'm going to be paying attention to.
Unless you're Sapolsky, and he would say that it's all
you can't control
predetermined. Yeah. I've sort of been thinking about this with a heuristic that I'm working on, which is imagine three buckets. There's doing, and that's like the striving and the hustle and the work and the discipline and the showing up and the working towards goals and all of those sorts of things. Then there's the undoing, which speaks to, surrender and like the undoing of our attachments or our relationship to future outcomes or outcomes in general, which is sort of a different kind of goal setting, I guess. And then there's being, right? So it's on a sort of Maslow's like hierarchy of need, like ultimately transcendence being like a state of just being, right? Where if you're in a state of total presence, you don't need to ever set a goal. All the answers will come to you. You're just in the moment, and the right intuitive next action will come to you, and you will take that action.
Yeah, no, that's a really hard thing to do.
Yeah,
because
that's the peak of the peer. That is. This is like what we're all striving for.
I know.
That we all fall short of course.
I know, and it's easy to look at that as some sort of an enlightenment ideal, but we can take it down to an experience that all of us can relate to. Dirt into a hole that actually goes to the other side of the globe and falls out the other side. It can't be done. So it's like,
so when you're at Harvard Business School and you're teaching your class to, the next generation of ultimate ultra strivers, and you drop that on somebody who's, 23 years old, 24 years old, like it's hard for a young person to, hear that.
The sooner they hear it, the better off they are. I mean, and the truth is that there is a solution to that, which is partial at best. I mean, strivers got to strive at the end of the day, and they're going to be exhibiting certain pathologies, to be sure. And by the way, I love strivers. I am one. My kids are strivers, right? And we'd be living in caves without strivers, without people who had not sacrificed themselves through their own pathological and unerring tendency to try to do more, see more, experience more. I mean, we need strivers.
So on a meta level, it is an act of service.
What can I say? I just love humanity.
I'm sacrificing myself.
That's right.
Like I'm going to go achieve great.
but back to your marriage.
But
back to your marriage. That's what every striver says to his spouse. Is like, look what I'm doing for us. Look what I'm doing for our family. Look around you at this house. Do you think this house built itself? This came from my hard work and personal responsibility and my ability to actually build this thing. And why are you resentful of me? Because I don't want the house. I want you. I'll take the house. I want you. And so this is, and again, therein lies the solution. This is not a perfect solution because life on earth is tricky and we all have our issues, as my kids would like to say. As my kids would say, everybody's got issues. But the truth is that love is the answer to this. To love and allow yourself to be loved is the answer to this. And that, back to your question, that's why I do my work.